how many times Lars has been physically manifest on the earth. And it'll make sense, this small line of questioning. But if you could repeat that again, that would help us tremendously.
Manifested as a human being,
As just as a human being, yes.
he's manifested several hundred times.
All right, several hundred. And out of those several hundred times that he's manifest as a human being, has he ever been an American or an Englishman who spoke English?
No.
Oh, very good.
He has been in that continent of America, but not in the English part.
He was a Native American, maybe, or
Yes,
all Native American, okay.
yes.
The reason why I ask, and this is probably a question that a lot of people who watch this channel would probably ask, um, when doing a session like this guided visualization, and we're able to reach this seventh dimension that we're connecting with, and I was wondering if, in fact, the person who's actually induced and channeling now, such as the way Lars is, could you tap into other lives of his where he was English, and that was what the reason why, and access that particular part of his person, his expressions to help these with the communication. Say, for instance, if he had been English in another life, would you be able to tap into that to help these communications much easier or smoother?
No, we can't because we have to take him back to that life that he were in that state to be able to connect with his ability then. We cannot just tap into language skills or any other skills in that way.
Okay. I was wondering because I know there in this realm, say the seventh dimension, there's no such thing as time. So there's only the what we call what the now. And
No,
so,
no, but it's a time frame for the life that that individual had. So of course there is a lifetime for that individual when they had different skills. You can talk about language, or you can talk about art, you can talk about anything.
excellent.
But we need to bring them back to that timeline, that time of their life, to be able to use that knowledge and skills they had.
Excellent. Very
But
good.
but we're really working on helping Lars with improving his languages, and we are working with him every day, and it's getting clearer, we think.
Excellent. Well, I just had those are perfect. I just have two more inquisitive questions about that. Then we really want to get into the things that are holding us back and get to the very important message. And so the other things were we were speaking of in our last session, we were speaking to an 18th dimensional entity, and we were speaking about the armadas of extraterrestrials that we've spoken about over and over, and lots of people on the planet are speaking of them that are surrounding the planet and helping with the transition that we're going through. Um, this is a very human question, but how many different species are literally around the planet right now in these armadas?
Are you talking about terms of different manifestation or different level of frequencies
Well,
or
I,
dimensions?
well, I was going to ask first about the ones that are uh, 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 how many different dimensions, and then I was going to break it down, of course, to the different, how many different type of species that are just say,
Many of the entities that are in your surrounding are able to manifest in many different ways.
okay,
Uh, Maybe you can call them a shapeshifter, but they can just decide what kind of shape they want to take because they are from so high level that they can manipulate cell structure and the reality as you can perceive it, so they can make them seen for you, but your neighbor cannot see them. So,
Under,
but there are hundreds of different uh, entities. It's thousands of different entities surrounding not only your planet or solar system, but in the total of the galaxy, and then coming and going in a blink of an eye. So, yeah.
Understood. And here's one last question as pertaining to that then. How many of them are they all higher dimensional beings, or are any of them third dimensional entities such as the form that we're in as humans? Are any of them in 3D and with high technology to where their ships are actually just cloaked and
They are beings from the third dimension and that reality, but they are not involved. They are just there to observe.
interesting.
So they are there to learn, because they are going to transform into a higher frequency, but they have not the same reality that you have on your planet. They are more benevolent, and they have never had a war, and they have never had that hostility, and don't have the same kind of mindset that many of you have had and still have. But they are here to observe, almost like apprentices. So
Understood. And are they lending their love and positive energy to the planet as well? Or, like you say, they're just observing, period?
now they are putting in a big effort with their ability of sharing energy. Energy. You have to remember that all living can affect all other living beings or energies.
Okay.
So they are very much in that way participating, but not physically manifesting on your planet. They are just observing what's happening there.
Oh, very good. And so Lars had a really, well, that's the end of those questions right there. And once again, I say for the record, we're very appreciative for answering those type of questions for us. Um, we want to get to the message that you have to share with us in this moment. And then as that message just comes through, and then I have some other messages or some questions pertaining to some of the things that you're speaking about. And then if you don't cover any of the issues that we were particularly interested in, then I'll ask those questions. So what would you have to share with us right now? And the floor is yours. I'll just listen.
We have had this discussion with the channeler here in a session with him, that it's very important for you to be aware of the new generations coming into your reality and manifesting. You need to be protective for them. You need to understand that the things you sometimes see is not the real thing that really is the reality for them. So when they're talking to imaginary friends, don't take them away from that. When you think that something wrong with my child, don't think that. See what impact it has. See what impact it has on this life that is coming into your reality. Just be very careful with putting labels on there, because they are different. They can be perceived as different, and it's very, very important to understand that in some way they are different, but they're still living being and souls.
Would you say that some of the children that they're even like diagnosing with autism are coming in with fifth dimensional perception that's just incomprehensible to the average
Yes.
human.
It's very common now that you put labels of something you not really understand, just to put them in categories to almost avoid responsibility for that. But you have to understand that when an entity or life come into reality, it's not by coincidence. It's meant to be. And if you put them into different categories, you also limited their possibility to develop into something else, into something better. And so you all often put these different labels on them, autism and other combination of letters that you use. Try to avoid that as long as it doesn't affect the child. If the child is going through a hard time in life, they are getting bullied in schools, they're getting enemies and not so many friends, try to analyze it, take a step back, and don't judge the individual because they have another purpose than you have. And you have to understand that it's important for the timeline now for you and what's happening in your reality.
And when you say to take a step back, are you saying to don't immediately just start drugging them up, drugging them up, drugging them up to try?
It's so easy for you to take that solution, but it's not a solution. Anything you drug is just alter the possibility for that individual. So all that kind of drugs you give into the children, all that kind of vaccine you're putting in these children's body, affect them, and not in a good way. You have really the responsibility to think really hard if this is necessary for this individual's life, for this individual's possibilities, even if it's an easy way for you out for not taking the responsibility for them. But if you are into this, that you want your planet to
Transition.
transition into higher frequency, you have to be very, very careful with these valuable entities that come into you.
And as these young people are coming in, they're the first thing. All right, here's my question: the the people, I'll call them the dark, or just to make it easier. Some call them the elite. Are they familiar? Are they aware that these young children are coming in with these ascended abilities? And is it a part of their ploy to try and keep them down by their doctors and with their system, their medical system, to create these labels in order to put them in these scenarios to then to give them these drugs to try and lower their vibration or to make them quote unquote normal? Um, are they familiar with this information? Um,
In a way, they are not familiar with the ability that these new children are coming in with, but they can see a way for them to keep controlling the bigger masses of you by doing this thing. And they are pushing this agenda they have to be able to remain the control over the masses.
Are
So
they getting this information from light workers who are channeling, and they're using the information that they're gathering from these channelers and using it against us? Or they have people who are able to connect to this information themselves?
they have They have some people working with them that are able to tap into some of the knowledge that has been brought in from outside, that are now they are in cahoots with them, so to say.
So anyone can ascertain this information, whether they're doing it for negative or positive reasons.
No, not everybody. Of course, you are all have the ability to tap into this if you use the technique we have talked about before with meditation and reconnecting and so. But the most of the entities and humans doing that are doing that in a good and positive way. But of course, they are living beings that are born here with the knowledge also. But they have some, say we shall we say, mental issues, and they are in their way control also, and they are holding them in fear. That's the best way for them to control. So they can say, if you don't do this for me, this will happen to you. And they use that in a negative way.
And so, because I'm thinking, and is it possible for these elites, do they know when as these star seeds and entities that are coming in from all over the galaxy, as they're being born into physical bodies, can they, do they have techniques or technology that can actually see the aura of children if they're really, really bright, or how do they know who?
No, but they can see the ability they have. They can see that they are very brilliant in some areas that is not so usual. You sometimes call it savants if you have a very severe form of mental illness in one. They may be able to paint like a great painter or create music, and they know what that's mean. They mean that they are tapped in to another frequency, and they can see that, but they have no ability to see any big auras but they know also now that almost every newborn on this planet coming in with a different agenda than previous generations.
Understood. Then how did they detect me when I was in the military? How did they know that they could, was it just random that they were doing experiments on me, trying to gain information about where certain places were? How did they know?
They expecting some of you to have different abilities, so they chose a lot of people and did a lot of experiment before they picked out some of you. And when we took some of you, there were 1,000 taking share in that experimental thing they did with you. And then they were assured that you have an ability that was not so common.
So have they so now that I've been in the military, they've already had me in one of their programs or what have you. And I know they were stopped, but do they know, am I off limits to them now? Or I know you
Yes,
say they're still paying attention, but they're off limits.
now they are aware of you, but they are no longer able to control you. We took you out of that program and ended that program for all of that experiment that took place. We ended that, but they tried to start up new experiments on new recruits in the military. But we are there now monitoring that, and they will not have so big success with tapping into that knowledge that they want to reach.
I was in the military for 6 years. Ho- I'm just curious, how long did it go on for?
2 of your years you were very involved in that.
All right, very good. We'll just stop right there with that. We were also speaking about education for the young and these vaccinations that they're giving them. How, as a community, the lightworker community, yes, of course, we can talk about it. And of course, I believe as the vibrations rise and more people become more aware of things that are going on the planet, anything that you could share with us that will help in a positive way, that things that are holding us back, some type of help, not just like, a lot of people have already acknowledged these things or are familiar. How do we?
We want you to be aware of the changes they want to implement into your educations, and they want to narrow the the knowledge they are giving these children. They want to put all belief system back into place, and all of that is in the intention to keep control. So you have to be aware when you local politicians talking about that we want to bring this back into our school system, and see if it's good, it's okay. But you have to be aware how it can affect your child in the school system. When you use your intuition, it usually talk with you with honesty and truth, and you can follow that intuition and say, no, thank you, I don't want to have my child in that kind of system, because you understand that is affecting your child and the possibility of development of that individual. So be aware and be updated what is going on.
Do you know there have been people who have been protesting and bringing forward a lot of this information, and they're now dead. They're now dead. Some of the main people who have brought forth information about autism and all of these different effects of these vaccinations and even education. How is it that these people are? Is it in their contract in order to be killed, and they're like some type of martyrs, which most people don't even know that they've even died? Or is it something that will come out later and then people will really realize, whoa, look how many people actually had to go down for what's been going on? How is that going to play itself out? Because it's been going on for years that people have been speaking about these things and making people aware of them. But now, if you don't get the vaccinations, guess what? Now you don't get the education. Now you can't be, uh,
That is what we are speaking about. That is the way they like to control you, to push you into an agenda that uh, is in their favor. And not all of you that put this message forward are going to be killed or anything like that. Many still doing it, but it's not covered by your corporate media and on your TV. But the one that has been very loud, so to say, in their messages are targeted, and some of them decided that we put this information forward, and that is what we are here to do, and have no longer any uh, urge to stay in this reality. So in a way they have this in the contract, and the contract can change during the lifetime. But the most of you that out there working with this are not targeting in that way. It's just a few. Don't forget that this planet, you are almost 8 billion people on this planet. So very few of you has been targeting in that way.
Understood, and that is a very good point to make. Um, and
But you are an objective for the elite still. You are still in their focus to keep control, but their power is getting less for every day that is passing. And what they are doing is also being exposed for the masses. And the more of you that are have that knowledge of what they are trying to do and manipulate, the better it is, the less power they have.
understood. Well, that's exactly why we come together in these scenarios and to speak to higher dimensional entities who are on working on our behalf. Um, we keep,
You're so much aware when you are approached by negative energies because your intuition talk to you, or we talk to you, and you are aware when that's happened, and you step back out of that directly. So you don't need to have the worry that they are going to be able to use and attack you.
well, I'm probably the most paranoid person that I know, and so. Uh, and I think maybe I think that some of those things that happened to me as a child happened on purpose, so I would be more aware of, that type of. I know when I feel that same energy when I step back, and I think of late I mean, really recently there have been a few people who try to connect with me, and I don't know, somehow they just sort of showed their hand. Is that my imagination? And then where I just said,
No, it's
okay,
not your imagination. You
I
should
didn't.
always listen to your intuition, and we can confirm that your childhood was a lesson you had to go through to be able to do this work today. And you decided to do that also.
Yeah. And what about sometimes when I am paranoid about Lars and the information that he gives or in these sessions?
Maybe you can be too.
I know, paranoid. That's the word.
Cautious was the word.
Okay.
Maybe you're too cautious sometimes because you still remember the pain. So, but that is your mind affecting you. Because when you listen to your heart, you have a total different feeling.
Yeah. And it's a lot how it believe and well, I don't know if you know or if you can feel it or however you can read me, you know, it's not so much me personally. I'm here and I'm not even worrying about what he was saying would even discredit me. I'm just asking the questions. It's just that all the other people who are listening. But what I love about it is most people who are listening, uh it's a very, very positive feedback from these communications that we have. And I'm very thankful about that. And, I remember some man just recently, oh my God, what if what's happening? I said that before or whatever. And I said, well, just don't listen and then turn it away from it. You don't have to worry about it. So, is there,
When you do this with a higher intention and with love in your heart, it will resonate with people because we can say that people are not stupid. They can see the difference between lies and truth. They can see the difference between honesty or being deceived. And the most of that they are tuning into your work are open, but sometimes you're going to be attacked or criticized in the work you're doing.
yeah, attack. Yeah, attack is pretty tough. People
Yeah,
just criticize. Well,
yeah.
I've been
They,
really
they
attacked
are not
lately.
physically attack you, but they
That's exactly right.
are attacking the work you're doing and say that is maybe something out of, yeah, it's something bad you are doing.
Someone told me I was last just what 2 days ago that I was the enemy. I was aiding the enemy Satan, and so
Yeah.
I left a
But
beautiful
if
message.
someone should be worried about being attacked, is the medium we're using in this communication, is him that's happening to this. You, as you say, you ask the question, is him that are able to tap in, and of course you also are able to, but is him bringing all this information out. And if they want to target a singular being, it should be him. But he's not worried about that. He are not afraid because he's really focusing on the highest intention, and he has been in this kind of work for over 40 years, and we have been in contact with him since he was 2 years old. So just keep doing what you're doing because you're doing a great work together and you were meant to meet. And sometimes you don't need to listen when your brain is shattering with you. Just keep focusing on your intuition. And
Nothing's gonna stop what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's without thought.
yes,
Yeah, we're past all that for sure. Thanks for
yes.
reiterating it, though. Sometimes we have so many new people who are coming to the channel, and I always find it really interesting. Somehow, I just think that once they get here, they'll start sort of exploring other things. And a lot of times, people are very narrow focused. They're just, well, I didn't know you had that, and I didn't know. And then it makes me think, okay, Hank, now I'll make a video that says what else is here. So, uh, anyway.
You're getting influenced in what you're doing from your higher self, of course, and the higher self have your interest in the highest intention that they wanted to protect you also, and they want to help you with this work because you have set this into action to do this, because you have decided to do this. So nothing can stop that. Only you, using the free will, you can back out and say no more. But you are not that kind of entities.
No, I
And
know, not yeah, not quite. So we're happy about that. Uh, all of the different entities that are here that are getting their mission, so to speak, could we speak about that?
yes, but there are not so many here now.
So they're clearing out, huh?
Yeah.
So, and the thing that looked like a galaxy, was that just a hologram that was actually disseminating information for everyone, or?
Yeah. They were given points where they are going to uh, being active.
Oh, very good. And
They got
how
some references.
these tipping point? What is that? Yeah, tipping point. What can you say about the tipping point? When the energy gets so high, of course, obviously, it's something that the human Homo sapiens have never done before. Uh,
It's very abstract uh, to describe. It's not a tipping point like you're turning off and on a switch. It's a little more subtle that, and it's more graduate.
I understand that thought, but say for instance, you've been in contact with Lars for 40 years and you've been in contact with me for over 20 years with this information that you've been giving me, and I mean, I know it's been since I was younger as well, but I mean to where I was actually aware of it and I started writing it down. Like I just shared a piece that I did 20 years ago, the first time I I literally transcribed a message that I received in the form of what I thought was a song. And
Yeah, you have been in contact with the source from a very young age, and you started to do this work publicly uh, 20 and some odd years ago, and you have increased the intensity which you are working, and you are now also getting feedback in that work in a very much higher rate than earlier. So you're doing us great.
um, I always stop because I just want to hear whatever else you're going to say. And I'm so caught up, I always forget my own thought that I have, but that's okay. So, uh, we're very grateful for this information that we're sharing, and yeah, and just put it that way. And of all the information that is shared in this way, is it possible that we could explore this? You say this planet was Arcturia,
Arcturian, yes.
Arcturian or Arcturia?
Arcturia.
And so this is
And the
uh,
inhabitants are Arcturians.
Arcturian. Okay, very good. I know that I was told that I had a connection with the Arturians, and that I was a son of a sea. Is this one of the places that he and I, Lars and I, both have manifested on this planet as?
Yes,
We wouldn't happen to have been the two dolphins that let him in, were we?
yes,
He was one and I was the other.
yes.
I figured that the moment that he arrived, but
Yeah.
I try not to say these things because oh, here we go. Yes. I'm starting to think about, I have a lot of questions, and, sometimes I write them down and sometimes I think they'll just float up to the surface when they're supposed to. And now I think they're supposed to. So before I lose it again, in these sessions, as I'm doing this, I like right now, my body is vibrating and I'm feeling a lot of heat, which I hardly ever really feel like this when I'm doing this. And but I know that there is a hardcore connection to Lars and myself when we do this because I feel like I'm there with him and I'm getting the information with him as he's getting it. And I don't know all the answers, but like I intuitively knew that those two dolphins were us. Sometimes, one time I thought that something was me or like the wolf, and he says, "Nope, that particular wolf is not you." I was like, "Okay," and I take it as that. But I can see what's going on. I can see the designs. I can see, especially the place. I'm getting it in my mind. Is there something that you could share about the people who facilitate these sessions, such as myself, and then those who are induced, such as Lars, the connection that takes place? Um,
You can see that when you bring him into that state of mind in this high frequency, he also bring you into this, because otherwise you should not be able to communicate so freely as you do. You should not be able to get a clear answer as you do, because you are interacting in this work together, and it has to be in that way. So when he is higher his vibration, and we helping with that, he also pulls you in. That's what is you feeling, and then you are able to tap in to what is happening when he's channeling, because you are there with your third eye. You are there with your a part of your soul, of course,
my higher
and
mind.
your higher self are there.
That's I said my higher mind, but
Yeah,
that's not just on the sessions that I do with him. That's with every single person that I do the session with.
yeah,
I can tap into what almost
yeah.
from the very beginning. I can see it sometimes
Yes,
clairvoyantly.
you are brought there. You are brought there also because it has to be that way. So, and that is what we meant with what you are doing what is shifting for you, that you are not needed to be in a special state of mind or altering your reality. You are going to be able to tap into that in every moment in your life when this change is, when this shift is taking place. It's the
Well,
state that you can be in all the time. You can tap into other people. You can tap into other reality. You can tap into a higher frequency. And that is the thing we were talking about coming through in these changes that are taking place.
I'm really looking forward to that. I already know that I'm tapping into it audiently because that's how I can write those poems or whatever. And I'm not trying to make this about me. I'm just making it about my experience. That's what this channel was for in the first place, to share my our well, of course, when we come together. I'm always trying to explain what we're trying to do here. I think people get it or whatever, but
They
I,
should be able to get it.
I like to be thorough. That's all. That's all I can
Yes.
put it. And
And
so
we like that also, because if some confused mind coming in to listen to this, it can be hard for them to understand what's going on. So it's
yes.
nothing wrong in being thorough and clear.
Well, that's definitely me. I have almost feel like I can feel the questions that other people are asking as they're listening, and
Yes.
so
Yes, you can.
exactly. Very good.
And
Very.
when you two work together, you work in so much more level than on the physical. In front of the session you're performing, you always have a talk, and you're tapping into each other frequency, and you are connected in a very deep level, and you can almost fill in the other person's sentences. Uh,
I almost said it. I was like, I'll just let them. It's so. I mean, so many times I know exactly what you're gonna say before you say it, and I sort of just I keep waiting because I used to do it all the time in my sessions, and
yeah,
for some reason it made people so angry. Oh my God, you're leading him, and this, that, and the other, and I'm
yeah.
just like, oh
But
God.
this the same the other direction also. He's tapping into you, and he know where you are in your intention right when you are there. So it's a good connection you have.
I think so, absolutely. And I'm honored and, of course, thrilled because we found each other once again to do this work again. And I so look forward to the future in the forever moment of now, as I like to call it, because wonderful, amazing things are coming to this planet. And I just like to get people out of that whole doom and gloom. We have so much more power, and I say it not then, and I'll say it now, than we ever thought we had, and that we're coming into the realization of that. And
And more of you inhabit this planet is getting aware of that this change is happening, and it's more and more of you awake every day, and that's it's very pleasing for us to see.
I think our community is starting to really come together. Also, the message used to be, there was almost scattered because people say, "Oh no, I'm not going to call names about particular people this time. I won't for sure." But someone say, "Well, no one's saying that. No one's saying that. They're the only ones saying that." And I even remember listening to certain people myself and thinking, "Oh my God!" But now, when you bring them together and then it seems like there's some type of grounding that takes place that puts everyone on the even playing field and the even of vibration, and then the information, everyone's bringing the information, the same stuff is coming through, and more jointed together, which is we need that very much. So we need the balance.
Yeah, the information that is coming out is more in uh, in harmony with each other. So when it's coming out in that way, more of you realize that it must be so. When it's not divided in so many different ways, when it's united in one effort to bring out these messages, then it's resonating in a very much higher rate.
Yes.
So
One
that,
name, I'm sorry.
so that is a good thing.
One name that I know for sure that I like to listen in the round tables is Tolik. He always,
He have the ability to refocus on the real issues when
yes,
when they try to uh, uh, mislead him, so to say. But
or
he
yes,
bringing it in. He has that ability. Yes, as
that's a
as
gift.
you have.
Yeah, I believe that's a gift because no matter what they're saying or whatever their individual story is, because he'll say, "Hold it, let's wait." And let's look at it from a different perspective. And no
Yeah,
matter what they've been saying for years and years and years, after hearing whatever he says, all of a sudden you're like they're agreeing, and you're like, "Are you kidding me?" And then he goes, "I love it when other people are saying the same thing that I'm saying."
yeah,
I think he's brilliant. I
yeah.
just don't throw it out there. If you guys don't listen to Tola,
Yeah, it's take a
Dakota, I love
yeah,
it.
it's take a bit of courage to bring out that, because there have been a lot of misleading information, and to go in and say that, hold on a minute, now we're going to look at it in a different way. That take courage.
Yeah, and he never invalidates the other person at all. He
No,
just,
there, there is no judgment.
well, he understands their perspective, and everybody's experiences and perspectives are totally different. So,
Yes,
but when you have that type of information, as such as this type of information that's coming through, uh, there needs to be a balance. There needs to be someone with a calm mind and always thinking that, even my friend David Wilcock, when
yeah,
he even when he's speaking to one person, it seems that he says and he's on one different plane. But when you get him by himself, and then you can, I mean, when he just what I'm saying right now, David said the other day in an interview, he said, we're so much more powerful than what we think we are, and that we have more power than what we think when it comes to dealing with the cabal or the elite or what have you, and that if we focus on the end and on the love that we have, that it'll help us through any and everything. And I just love it when he says that, but it drives me crazy when he says the other. I'll just stop right there with that. So these are
you
really
have
cool.
to understand that every single one of you have the power to change everything around you. And that is important to understand, because when you're sending out love and respect and honoring others, it's resonating directly to other entities or other living energies in your close area, and also through all of the universe. It's resonating in an instant. So that's why it's so important for you to focus on the positive energies. We understand that you cannot love everyone because you're not in the same state of mind and in the same level, but you still need to respect each other, because that is a universal law, to respect each other.
Respect and do no harm. But you can love them, but you don't have to love what they do. I'll just put it that way. I
That
don't.
is a good way to describing what we're saying. You don't need to resonate with their act, but you have to acknowledge their right to be what they are.
Their free will and their decisions and choices, because I think the game is perfect and it's going to play out perfectly.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think it's time. How's Lars's body doing there?
A part of him is now playing with element 15. He's holding it in his hands. He recognizes it. We have presented for him before, and he's going to use that to put out free energy for you. So he's happy, happy like a child.
Ah, very good. Now, yeah, of course, you have to remember what we're doing here, and so I know where you got our back. So
Yeah, but we think that it's also good to focus on the messages you put out and not wandering off in many different areas. It's better if you do this in many different sessions. So maybe it's a good time to end this session,
oh,
but
absolutely. I
but
was
but you can
wondered.
decide if you have some more questions. We are more than happy to answer them.
I don't know how long we've gone. As far as what I like to do when we get to places like this is just sort of explore. Uh, I'll just bring this up then, since we're here underwater in this Arcturia, and there are Arcturians that are on this planet. Um, in my artwork, I used to draw. Well, I have pictures of underwater uh, cities with the domes over the top of them, or those.
And you can put the title Home Sweet Home.
Oh, very good, very good.
You,
I and mm, I almost want to run and go get the picture so I can hold it up during this session so you can see it. But I already know I'm gonna have to do some editing. Maybe I'll send it to Lars so he can actually edit it in because he's doing everything from his side. Uh,
yes.
I know that my voice always seems louder than his in these sessions, and he's doing the recording. I'm just bringing in that up right now for all those who listen to it. It's not our intention for it to be off like that, and you know,
No, and you wasn't. We just wanted you to focus of the issues that you have brought up in your mind in front of the session and during the session.
very
And you're doing that very well.
okay, excellent. I know the other things float in, but that it is what it is. So right now, with Lars, if you take a long, slow, deep breath, and we'd like to thank this beautiful entity that has come forward and given us this information that we've received this today. We are very grateful for all of the information, and we will share what we think is appropriate to share and what we shouldn't share in this moment. And uh, uh, so, Lars, once again, I'd like you to drift and float away from the scene, drifting and floating away from the scene with much love and thanks for all the information that we have received.
The dolphins coming to pick me up.
Ah, very good. And I want you to go ahead back through, and shall we just go ahead on out, back up to the water, out of the water?
Yes.
Very good. And how do you travel out of this water?
I am holding on to the back fin of the dolphin and just hitchhiking. I'm just traveling with them.
How old do these dolphins live to be? Are they eternal in
They are as being in eternal, but they are can manifest for 6, 7, 800 years if they choose to.
I keep forgetting that we're in the 7D. They don't even the whole form of 7D of this planet, of the underwater cities, of all of it is just taken sort of a holographic form just for us to communicate. Is that correct?
Just manifested for your purpose.
Okay. And no sooner than our focus goes away from this place sort of pretty much disappears then, does it not?
It still exists, but not in the. It exists as a thought.
Oh, very
Yes.
Excellent. Dolores Cannon spoke about uh, those in her books and in her interviews.
Yes.
Very good. All right, Lars. So now that we're back and we're back on the shore,